realized that in order to defend that, I would do exactly the same. If in order to attain my ideals, I have to shoot back at that man.
I'm a product of the masses of my country, and I'm the product of my enemy. That's the legacy that Mom Winnie Madikizela Mandela has left behind. The struggle icon passed away on Monday, surrounded by family at the Milpark Hospital at the age of 81. Mother of our nation, as she was affectionately known, Winnie Madikizela Mandela left big shoes to fill, not only for this generation of men and women, but for future generations as well. Joining us in studio to talk about her legacy is a historian, Pitika Ntuli, and a former cameraman of the Nelson Mandela and President under the legacy. That's Rapitse Montsho. Remember, you can be part of our conversation as well by giving us a call on 011-447-1742 or 1620. All right, good evening to you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming through. And Dr. Rapitse, I just want to make sure you're part of the legacy project that kept her memory. And you got to work with a family, you were telling me, as far back as 1985. How did that come about?
You will recall that proximity of a video journalist to a subject as beautiful as in content and in terms of aesthetics as Mama Mandela was fundamental. So I had to be close to the story of Winnie Mandela, but she then used the media as a partner to prosecute her own struggle internationally. So I was inside to film because broadcast platforms such as ETV was not around. SABC was banned actually by her. So she relied on the international media which I worked for. And that's how it came about that I was closer to her. But when I realized that bequeathing the legacy of our country is going to be critical in the future, I then broke away from the international media and set my own company up. And that's how I then am able to have preserve, and I would like to preserve this future legacy to bequeath our generations.
Now, Professor Pitika, in terms of like, Mama Winnie's story, through the controversies, her marriage, allegations and all sorts of things, there was a continuous story that she was telling of her life. How can we summarize that story when we look back at her life at this present moment?
I mean, when you look at her life, we are actually looking at the very anatomy of our own struggles, because she had been very, very central on it. Not simply as Nelson Mandela's partner, but she as an individual. Her love, of the people, her love of, children. You could see that I was looking at it from a perspective of being in exile. Whenever there's been a shooting, a massacre, or even, criminal, Winnie will always be, there with the people. She was, in a sense, a brand for humanity, a brand for our own struggles.
All right, okay, I'd like you guys to look at this picture, and I could be incorrect, but this is FNB Stadium after the weekend. Okay, here it is. So Nelson Mandela came out of prison on Sunday. So that week, she appeared in Soweto. I remember that because I was at that stadium. That's how I remember it. Is that correct?
That is correct. And because of the special relationship that I had developed, I remember I was the only person who was allowed onto the platform.
To get that close, yeah.
On the platform. Because what had happened is that the platform was so high and most of the camera crews were down there. And I insisted, I said, but we're going to get skewed pictures. So I then had to, and I was the only cameraman on top of the podium there.
Professor Pitika, what does that image would say in terms of, I mean, it speaks to a context of history, but it says a lot as well about them and the people around. What can we read to that moment?
I mean, looking actually at that things, you see two historical trajectories, coming in. someone who is there breaking stones for 27 years, and someone who's bringing up the children, looking after the community, being practically more harassed every day, sending 20 police to arrest her, to rip her away actually from her children. I'm just seeing there the meeting point of two very powerful, people that our history had put together.
You got to be part of a lot of private moments. I mean, the earlier visual that we played was, you said it was a Sunday lunch or something that you were part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. That side of her, the legacy of that as a mother of the nation and the mother in her own family.
Yes. The maternal instinct of Winnie Mandela was incredible. So she had this tradition of cooking ngushu in this very big pot every Sunday for anyone who could come in and so on. So I was a regular visitor, but I brought with me my camera. So on this particular event, I came for my ngushu. It was beautiful, curry, wonderful. And I then saw her playing with the kids, and I then took that moment.
Right, we have another picture. Is that in front? I don't know if that's the old shelled house or Lutuli house. Can you share your thoughts with us there?
That would be a picture that I was able to access from a friend of mine, Benny Gould. And I think that's when there was some kind of a scuffle between herself and the police.
Prof, she was abused, she was tortured, she was humiliated from, her 18 months in solitary confinement to having close to 8 years in Brentford. And all of that image was carried throughout, her face as well. And in some of that, we got to see that. I mean, her state of mind and still continue to tell the story. Can you share your thoughts with us on that?
Yeah, I tried to capture. I tried to capture that in a poem I wrote, yesterday. That is dedicated to her. Because my wife and I, loved her. So I wrote this poem, and I said to my wife, "Can you edit this poem for me?" It came out as it was both our poems, The Women's Insight. I'll read the poem. Nomzamo, night has gathered for you. Only your ever-radiant smile continues to light our lives. Your smile that defied racist onslaughts, detentions, punishment, and a billion humiliations that attended your life. You stood firm, unafraid, undaunted, ever defiant, a woman among women, a granite rock in the face of adversity, at one with your people, always an inspiration. From our exile halls, we saw your beautiful face through vistas of tear gas, heard your voice through ricocheting Sten guns. We heard your defiant voice urging the people on to defy racist bigotry. They came for you, your children clutching at your dress with their tiny, delicate fingers, tremulous, vulnerable voices begging the police to let you alone. How many war zones were placed in your head? Only you, daughter of Africa, knows. But we know for sure they could not break your spirit. Till the end, you remained our conscience. Yes, they could not break your love for us, the love of your people, the love of your well. Go well, mother of Africa, and mother of the nation. Hamba kahle, Nduchane, Msutu, Mshengeshe, Mwanda, Gapapa. We salute you.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Dr. Rapitse, knowing and being able to be allowed inside the Mandela family. Earlier on, you touched on about, her natural maternal instincts and how everybody felt like they were at home when they came there. Why do you think everyone came to a place of calling her mother of the nation?
I don't know why people call people mothers of the nation, but that then is an expression of who she really was, because the accreditation that she gave to the ordinary citizens was incredible. Remember that Winnie was very much anchored into the organic participatory structures of democracy. She really resisted quite a lot institutional participation. I mean, if you start locking in onto an institutional framework, she resists quite a lot. So she wanted to find ways in which she can transform the lives of the poor, the ordinary people, and that found her in various places. For instance, I covered the story of Paula Park. I covered a number of stories where she was in the forefront, up front, in resisting apartheid.
We actually have a picture of another picture there of her at a funeral.
That was at the funeral. I remember it must have been the funeral of Bongani Kumalo in Soweto, if I'm not mistaken. And it was one of those very powerful moments of resistance, of causes at of the youth at that time. And she broke into having that picture. It's a masterpiece of a picture.
Professor,
it was taken by,
her legacy around herself and her marriage with former President Nelson Mandela, and how, questions around how the ANC should honor her or should have honored her, while she was still alive. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. We are a very strange, people. We will forgive de Klerks, we will forgive everybody else, but we are not going to forgive a person. But once you are outspoken, you can speak truth to power. People don't feel very comfortable, in a sense, around you. Yeah, she was very, very rooted. Whatever happened between, say, her and Nelson Mandela, also relationships, ordinary relationships. You are in Durban, you are in Johannesburg. They have lasted even longer against all odds. What we forget is that our struggles recreate us. We encounter different realities that we respond to those different realities. So that's are the things we need to do. But we as a people, we have a tendency that we praise you when you are dead. We praise you to death. In other words.
In other words, yeah.
And yet when you are alive, nobody cares.
Okay. Well, you had an opportunity to capture some, uncanny moments, and how did you just be at the right place at the right time, and even get her in the right moment or the right mood?
Being in the presence of Winnie for the photographer is the right moment all the time.
All the time. Okay, I've had this before, yeah.
And you then, in videography, we call it positioning in the practice.
Okay.
So you've got to position yourself within the practice to be at the right place at the right time. So I spent the first Christmas with the family. I was alone there because I thought, it'll be nice to go to the family to get that stamp again. And I found myself, I was all by myself, I was all alone. In the first New Year as well, I got that wonderful moment of Mama Winnie and Tata toasting in the middle of the night.
Okay.
And that was a great moment as well.
All right. Okay, Professor, some will say that history has never been kind to black women who are vocal and outspoken, who don't toe the line, and Winnie, in a way, represented that. And so an image like that was not good, firstly, for the white man, not good, for the white woman, not good, certainly, even for the black man himself. What do you say?
No. I mean that is very true. When you look at the word woman in the Zulu is umfazi, constructed out of two of the most powerful concepts: the concept of death and the concept of knowledge. Those who die knowing why they are dying because they live knowing why they are living. That's what makes men absolutely uncomfortable. What men cannot control, then they tend to demonize. But I wanted to pick up from what Rapitse said, that you have got to be at the right place at the right time. It reminded me of the words that Winnie said to me. Rang me one day, says to me, come to my house. I said, what? He said, you have got to be at the right place at the right time. I did not know what was happening. And she put the phone down, so I couldn't just... When I went in there, the right time was for her to introduce me to Juju, when Juju was still, coming.
To Julius?
Yeah, to Julius. Because he always knew the people that should actually meet. That's what really made her the mother of the nation, because her mind could compute everything that is happening around and realize the dynamics of it.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. Okay.
She was
fascinating, yeah. Okay, well, just wrapping up as we close off, your message to the nation as we finish off, we'll go to the news.
Well, the message to the nation is that the legacy of Mandela was, Mama Winnie Mandela, ke ena fela.
Okay. All right.
And there is no other person.
All right. Thank
like
you
her.
so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning, for teaching us our history live right here on ET.